Hello there everyone, and welcome back to episode 2 of From Start to Finish. In this series, I essentially go from start to finish on the process of how I build a smaller mini MOC, so I kind of start from nothing, and then through one video you see me update you guys throughout each segment and give slight updates on how different techniques that I use and how I go about building one of these smaller MOCs, and then at the end you get to see the fully finished MOC. So last episode we did a samurai MOC, so if you want to check that out, I'll put a link, an info card on screen if you're interested to see what I did with that style of MOC. For this one, I decided to go to a World War II style MOC. I have a lot of World War II figures, so I wanted to do something World War II, and I decided to go with the Pacific because there's usually a lot more MOCs on the European side of LEGO, like a lot of people build European front MOCs. I decided to do something in the Pacific theater, so that's what I will be building. Today will be something focused around US Marines versus Japanese infantry, so that's what we're going to be working on today. And without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, real quick, here is the plan. You can see the Marines right there in the middle. My plan is to put kind of a swampy creek type river thing right down the middle of the MOC right there diagonally. And then on each side you can see the Japanese soldiers. I think we'll have some trees and some plants and terrain, and then maybe like a trench or an ambush position. So it'll be pretty simple, but essentially it will be a river slash creek with a bunch of terrain and trees all over the place, and then hidden bunkers concealed for the Japanese to ambush the Marines here. So it's going to be a pretty simple setup, but I'm planning on putting a lot of details on the terrain and the water and trees and everything like that. So that's the quick plan. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started with the build. Alright guys, so I've worked a little bit more here since the last video segment. I have now placed down the full kind of creek slash river, as you can see right there, and then I also went ahead and started placing all of the plates and everything to raise it up appropriately, and I've kind of laid out what I've got planned here. So we've got the kind of middle stream running right down here with the Marines who will kind of be wading in and out of it. Bunker over there that I want to put and build up kind of into the terrain, like a little hill, and the bunker's built into it. And then we've got some like rice paddy type things over there, and then some vegetation, and then I kind of want to do a trench down here like I stated earlier. So this is kind of what I got so far, just moving along here, and I'll go ahead and show you guys some of the techniques that I used right away here. Alright, so here's kind of the design I went with for these rice paddies. I've actually had these pieces for a really long time and I've been wanting to use them, and finally I've been able to use them. So essentially what these pieces are, I don't even know what they're called, so my apologies for that. But as you can see back here, there's these little like cone pieces that I found at a Lego store one time, and essentially what I did was I started to stack them on top of each other, kind of like this, as you can see. So all the cones are stacked on top of each other, and it kind of creates that pattern. So I stacked them on top of each other and put them upside down, and you can actually see where I have attached them to modified bricks. So you can see right there I've got a row of modifieds, and then you can just attach them into the modified brick like this, kind of like I did right there, and then I've kind of placed them in here kind of like that and set them up. And for the stream right here, this is a design that I've used multiple times in the past, most recently in my Clone Wars large scale MOC. I use this design. Essentially it's a bunch of 1x1 trans like dark green cylinder pieces, so kind of like this, and again stacking them on top of each other and laying them down just kind of like this and creating them in a row gives it a cool kind of wavy pattern to it, and it kind of gets that swampy feel that I was hoping to go for. Alright guys, so I just got a little Brick Arms slash Brick Mania order in here, and now I've been able to outfit my Japanese figures here with some Ariskas and their actual helmets. So now all of my guys have rifles and helmets, so we are good to go for Japanese guys. This is about as many as I can outfit at the time, which it's not a ton, but for this kind of smaller MOC, this will be just the right amount of figures, so we're looking good on both sides of the figures now. Here's what the Marine figures look like. Really nice torso and legs from Citizen Brick right there, with the really good detailed printing for the United States Marines right there, which looks great. Then of course Brick Arms helmet and Brick Arms rifle, so that's what our Marine soldiers are looking like. They're looking pretty good. So now all the figures are set up and ready for battle. Alright guys, so I've been working a little bit more here on these trees. Kind of hard to see, but now I've added in actually 4 palm trees in total here. So you can see all 4 of them right here. So we've got a couple in just reddish brown, and then we've got a couple in the dark brown here, all of different sizes, and the palm trees are of different shapes. So we got all sorts of cool stuff like that. I'm definitely liking the way they look so far. I definitely need to work a little bit more on kind of some stuff up there. But the cool thing is, if you look down this way, this is kind of the shot I had envisioned when I was when I was like going through what I want to do with the MOC and kind of trying to figure out what exactly I want to make for this episode. I kind of had this idea of having this narrow view down a creek where you can kind of look down and there'll be trees covering it and everything like that. So it's starting to look like that, so I'm definitely happy with it. But here are the palm trees so far. I'm going to continue to modify them a little bit, and I will continue to work and update you guys as I go along. I've also been starting to do some terrain right here, so you can see I've stacked a few layers right here of dark tan along the river, and using some dark brown as well, kind of mixed in all over the place. And then you can start to see on this close side I've started to do the same thing, and there's some of the kind of filler brick underneath. So slowly stacking all the textured plates. It's going to take a long time, definitely a little tedious, but I think it's going to end up looking really good in the end. And again, I'm using the studded terrain technique that I've used on most of my builds. I think it's going to fit that kind of rough Pacific Island type feel for this MOC, so that's kind of the design that I'm going for. Starting off on this side right here, I was able to start the kind of bunker slash trench that I was working on here. It's just kind of going to be a little emplacement where the Japanese infantry is going to be at right here. So I've built up this hill with a bunch of dark tan and the dark brown color to kind of go up from the river slash creek up into this kind of trenched area right here. You can see there's some destroyed elements that I'm working on. I'm going to touch up a little bit of that as I continue to work, but using a lot of the reddish brown log pieces as well. And then over here you can see I've updated some more things as well with kind of a path, stone path, using some interesting kind of circular smooth pieces and the 1x1 studs that are just like smoothed out tiles with no studs on them on top. So kind of got the road going like this, and then we've got all this vegetation all over the place in here. So I think it's looking really cool. This part of the MOC actually I'm really happy with. In particular, I think the stone path works really well with the green kind of bamboo and grass pieces. So I'm tucking a lot of individual grass pieces all over the place, filling in all the gaps, making it nice and detailed, and I think it fits very well. So this is kind of what this side of the MOC is looking like so far. In terms of what I have left to do, I got to touch up a little more of the, I got to touch up a little more of the trench area over here. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move on to that side, where I'm going to be working on the main gun emplacement slash bunker. All right, so here's kind of what I've got going so far with this bunker. I'm actually really liking what I've got so far. It's not exactly what I planned originally, but I think it's looking okay. Essentially, once again, we've got our kind of terrain using the normal reddish brown this time and dark tan, and kind of building it up around this bunker. As you can see, hopefully you can see it pretty well. It's starting to blend in with the actual plates here, but I guess that's kind of the point of this terrain for this bunker, to kind of help it blend in terms of the terrain leading up to it. And then I'm using different colored slope pieces, brown slope pieces right there, to kind of curve around the actual bunker itself, which is in a light gray pattern, using some of those macaroni pieces, I think they're called, and then some tile pieces as well, and wrapping it around on the other side with some more slopes and more terrain built up. So this is what it's looking like so far. I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to kind of finish up the top area, but I'm kind of making it come up and around, if that makes sense. So it's kind of going up like this and coming back over like that with the slope pieces. So that was all the slope pieces I could find in reddish brown that I have, actually. So won't really be able to do much more with the slopes unless I can find some more. So I'm just going to kind of round it off and kind of see what it looks like. But this is what I've got so far, and I think it's looking really cool, especially with that kind of tracer round coming out of the bunker. I think it's looking pretty good. Alright guys, so I added a whole lot to this bunker here. You can see I did the terrain up here and finished up some of the slopes, and then I also started to add in a bunch of more like plant pieces and leaves and everything like that along that left side, and then I also added a lot more plants and leaves along this right side as well. So now it kind of starts down here by the creek and then goes all the way up over into the bunker. So the bunker is now looking really cool. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, not entirely as I was imagining it when I first started building, but overall I think it's came out pretty good. I might touch up a few things here and there before I do the overall cinematic video, but I also again added in a bunch more plant pieces right here, and essentially what I'm doing to kind of make this different is I'm taking a bunch of so over here you can see I've got a bunch of grass pieces, so I'll take a few plain grass pieces and I'll stick them in between the bamboo kind of leaf pieces, if that makes sense. So in here you can kind of see how I've got some smaller plants like sticking out of the kind of larger bamboo like plants to kind of give it that interesting texture and have it kind of seem like there's some plants sticking out of the actual ground itself. So that's what I've kind of got that look going on for the actual build right there, for the actual leaf area. So that's kind of what I was doing. Hopefully it looks good. I think it looks pretty good. So then it's not just plain leaf pieces. I've actually got some different types and sizes mixed in there to give it a cool texture. So there's the bunker and the surrounding areas. I think it looks pretty good. And that's going to do it for this build. So I've got pretty much everything I wanted to include in here and all the pieces that I wanted to use. So it's pretty much done. I'm going to probably touch up a few things, including the figure placement for the actual full cinematic video that I'll be doing with like some cool video and cool pictures and music and stuff like that. But I'll just give you a quick overview of what the MOC is like, since you guys went on the journey with me from this essentially being plain to it being pretty much complete. So I've set up some figures to kind of give you an idea of what exactly I'm thinking about, but here's the quick overview. We've got kind of our path over here with all this vegetation. We've got all of our trees up here. We've got this trench where the Marines have kind of taken over this position and are using it to fire at the Japanese as they're ambushing across the creek right here. We've got all the palm trees and different trees back there, and then I'll see if you can see it. I'll get some more close-ups later, but all the way down in the back there, we've got some Marines with the kind of rice paddies back there and stuff like that. And of course, the bunker back over here and all the other different plant pieces along the right side of the build. So there's a quick overview. I'll do some quick close-ups of some of the interesting features on the MOC, and then I'll go ahead and close out the video. Alright, so over here is the kind of detailed stone path. I was trying kind of a new technique that I thought up with some different circular, smooth kind of studs and different things like that. And then we've just got more Marines down this way with some more plant pieces and kind of like a dirt path right there, and then the other palm trees are also right there. And down over here we've got the kind of stairs slash entrance to the trench. So you kind of go up those stairs and then you're into this kind of fortification slash trench where we've got some Marines who set up their 30 cal and are kind of blasting back at the Japanese ambush, and we've got some more Japanese who are very close to overrunning their position, including kind of a bayonet charge from the Japanese right here, and then we've got a Japanese kind of officer with his katana right there, and then some more Japanese infantry kind of wading through the water, and you can just take the legs off your figures, kind of make it seem like they're wading in the water, if that makes sense. And then over here, I just showed this in the last clip, but we've got our more vegetation and some more Japanese infantry in here, up through here, and then of course the bunker that I just showed earlier, and then some more Japanese guys down over here, kind of hiding behind the tree as the tracer rounds fly by them from the bunker, and then some more vegetation back over there. It's just kind of hard to get the camera back there, but during the cinematic you'll see some more pictures of it, more vegetation, and another Japanese soldier back there. And that's pretty much all the small details in the MOC. Again, I'm kind of going through this quick because I know this video is probably getting pretty long, and I'm going to do a cinematic just like I did last time for my Samurai MOC, where I get some of my camera equipment out and do some cool setups with the curtains and take some good video and pictures and kind of do a cool slideshow with music, so you get a lot more detailed shots of this actual MOC during that. But overall, I'm really happy with the way this MOC turned out. A little different than kind of what I had planned. This MOC also took a lot longer than I was hoping to, but it's a pretty large MOC, all things considered, a lot larger than the MOC I did last time, so I don't know if future MOCs will be this large, but I definitely had a ton of fun building World War II once again, and doing the Pacific, which is something I haven't really done before, the Pacific Theater, and using all this kind of vegetation pieces and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the MOC. I'm going to go ahead and set up the intro, and that's about it. So here's the quick overview until the cinematic video comes out, hopefully very, very soon. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode of From Start to Finish. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I had a ton of fun building World War II once again. I've never really done a Pacific Theater MOC, so this was really fun to use all these cool vegetation pieces and this kind of swampy island-like environment. So I had a ton of fun building this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if you want to check out episode 1 of From Start to Finish, I did a Samurai MOC, so I'll leave an info card on screen right now if you want to check that out. For the next few episodes, I'm planning on doing one from the Eastern Front of World War II, so we got Russians versus Germans, and I also really want to do one from the Napoleonic era, like something like maybe the French versus the Russians during like 1812 or something like that. Some sort of Napoleonic era battle like that. I've got a few ideas for those as well, so I've got a couple new really cool ideas, so stay tuned for more episodes. I'm having a lot of fun just kind of doing these smaller MOCs of different themes that I've always wanted to go back and build. So having a ton of fun. Hope you guys are enjoying this series. Stay tuned for the cinematic video for this MOC, which should come out hopefully soon, just whenever I get some free time to set everything up and take pictures and video. So as always, leave your feedback in the comment section below. Hope you guys have a great day, and may the force be with you always.